Alright, so we're gonna do some more albums in my collection, I guess. Oh, and also, by the way, if you're wondering, I don't know if you can see the wall or not, but yeah, we got some more. We're gonna try to hang them up. We don't have enough of the, like, what is it,
Velcro.
Yeah, Velcro. The Velcro thing. So we're gonna. I basically moved that one a bit down, and as you can kind of see, I kind of got some off the wall, but we'll fix that. And in the meantime, let's go into these so you can start the alarm now. Okay, this is Carrying the Wall by Sufjan Stevens, and this came out the same year as To Pimp a Butterfly, what a lot of people consider to be the greatest album of the decade. And unpopular opinion, I think, actually The Powers That Be is my favorite album of 2015, but this is my second favorite album of 2015. This is a really great album too, and 2015 just might be my favorite year of the decade. After just more listens, there's a lot of really great albums that came out in 2015. I'm gonna need to take this out. Hold on, let me put this back. Okay, but this is it. This is the album, and it's inspired by his mother's death. And actually, this just might be my favorite album by Sufjan Stevens, and he's one of my favorite musicians too. But this is a really, really sad album as well. There's a lot of pain that he kind of went through making this, and really, really personal record too. Really beautiful as well. And this one is Suicide, self-titled, their debut album. Suicide, self-titled. It's see here, like a little thing it comes with. And this is an incredibly influential album from the 70s. A lot of synth pop artists are inspired by this. This is an incredibly dark album though, but also just very minimal production. Really the only kind of instrument really used is a little synthesizer. And there's some parts that probably sound like guitars, but maybe there were guitars being used, but I'm pretty sure it was just the keyboard and the vocalist. There's only two members. But this is one of my favorite albums of the 70s. Actually, yeah, it's probably my favorite 70s album actually. But really, really influential. A lot of artists are heavily inspired by the album, including Bruce Springsteen, might be the most well-known of them. This is Soundtracks for the Blind by Swans. This is a box set. There's actually Michael Gira of Swans, that's the signature. This is an album they made. This is the album they made before they broke up in the 90s, and they're a group again. They reunited in the 2010s, but they broke up. When they broke up, this is their last album. Then they had a live album after called Swans Are Dead, but they're a group again, and better than ever, so that's good. This is like a little thing it comes with. And let's see, so 4 discs. And I'll just take one out because they all kind of look the same. They all kind of look the same, so I'm really going to take one out. And this is a very, very long album, and like it's 2.5 hours. And they say it's supposed to be a album that's supposed to act as a soundtrack to a non-existent film. I guess that's why it's called Soundtracks for the Blind. There's some parts in this I could see some people finding very disturbing, like the little interludes, field recording stuff they have. I could see people finding that to be quite scary at times. And all the tracks seem to have some sort of eerie kind of atmosphere to them, but it's all different types of styles they do on this too. Like some directions you never thought Swans would really take. And a lot of people consider that to be the best Swans album, but mine is To Be Kind is still probably my favorite of them. And this is a Sonic Citadel by Lightning Bolt. They're a noise rock group from Rhode Island. And Rhode Island actually has a pretty underrated noise rock scene, actually. Like Daughters is from there, and some other musicians are pretty good. Lingua Ignata. I mean, she's not noise rock, but she's experimental noise music, I guess. But it's a pretty cool record. This is actually my first record in a blue color like this. And actually, this is actually my favorite Lightning Bolt album. I actually like it even more than Wonderful Rainbow. And this came out last year. It was one of my favorite records of last year. If you like the group Hella, Zach Hill's other side project, maybe check this group out. You might like him. Zach Hill is in the Death Grips, remember? Death Grips drummer. This is Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age. This is a pretty fun album, although I do think it's a bit overrated though. It's not like my all-time favorite albums of the 2000s, but it's still very good. But a lot of people really, really, really love this album to death. And I really like this album, but I don't love it as much as other people do, I guess. I probably need to listen to more of this group, because I do enjoy this album a lot, though. But it's a pretty fun album, has a lot of humor in it. I think the little radio broadcast things are kind of interesting. The music sounds great, like the little instrumentations on it. It's like a really, really great album. But anyway, so some more. Let's see. All right, this is Boris at Last, Feedbacker by Boris. This is and if you can kind of see on the wall, that's actually a poster it came with. So it's a poster. And actually, that's Swan's album that came with these posters. I don't know, I didn't point it out because they already showed them, I guess. But this is kind of supposed to act as like a 30-minute song. This album is, and it's I would say this is probably my favorite Boris record, but I actually like the live album they did with Merzbow, and this was actually included on it. So that's my favorite Boris release, but I don't think I can get that anytime soon. I think it's probably a rare item. This originally was a rare item, but they reissued it. And this one is probably one of my least favorite albums I have in my collection. But this is Animal Collective's most well-known record, but also their most overrated, in my opinion. I still like this album, but I don't know. I remember this one time I was like obsessed with this album, and I listened to it so much, and I was like, I don't get why people like their other records much more than this. They're diehard fans, but now I can kind of see why. I don't know. I do think there is a big hate train with this album, though. I think, and maybe I don't think it deserves hate. I guess it's still a good record, but I would say it's not not my favorite Animal Collective release, but it's probably, I don't know, like my 5th favorite or something. I don't know, but this is their most popular one. This is their but it's also their most accessible too. It's one pretty easy one to get into, but some people find it boring. I don't know. I find it's good. I have some good songs on it. It's just not my favorite record. But this is Pink Moon by Nick Drake. He's a indie folk singer songwriter. He's a pretty interesting. What is that? Oh, it's Loppy. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why it's all like that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, so this is kind of cool because the record almost looks like it's an old vintage kind of thing. I don't know, even though it's obviously not. But he's a really, really great lyricist. He has this bit of a sad backstory of how he never really got the success he deserved while he was alive until his death. But he's a really great songwriter. Anyway, so this is Confield by Autechre. This is this is kind of like an experimental electronic music album. They're from England, and it's very glitchy, not very easy to get into the first time. I can see some people just seeing this as just a big barrage of just noise, or just weird noises or something. But it's a good album. I enjoy it. But it's probably my favorite out of there. Probably my favorite Autechre album. Probably that is Confield. Anyways, let's see here. This is the Clockwork Orange soundtrack. And I only got this because there was a period in time when I was obsessed with this movie when I watched it the second time. It's the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't get it. Then when I watched it again, I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to cover up, right, I don't know, I guess I can kind of show it. It doesn't really matter. I don't know, it's alright. There's little clips of the movie. This is the record, this Warner Brothers thing. What's her name? Wendy Carlos was known as Walter Carlos until she got a sex change, but she was a electronic musician from from Rhode Island, and she did most of the music on this. The synthesizer composed stuff she did. Soundtrack's pretty good though. I mainly only got it because I like the movie so much. It's my second favorite movie now. My first is now probably Parasite. Anyway, so this is Ride the Lightning by Metallica. The main reason I even got this is just because I went to Warm Springs, the school I go to, I went to the little college area, and we went to stop by a Walmart for a little field trip thing, and I just wanted to get a record, and I saw this, and I was like, well, I like Metallica, and I could just. But yeah, this is my favorite Metallica album, one of my favorite thrash metal albums. I think Metallica is a bit of an overrated metal band, but I still enjoy them quite a lot. There's definitely a good group. This one is the White Album by the Beatles. This was actually my favorite Beatles album for a long, long time. My Abbey Road's probably my favorite now, but this is probably my second favorite Beatles album, either that or Revolver, if I had to say. And looks like some of them are. That's the alarm going off. Anyways, I won't really take the records out, but there's these. The White Album has interesting covers and all that stuff. I mean, there's obviously there's a little sinister history, knowing the fact that the Manson murders were kind of inspired by this album. Well, the Beatles, but this album in particular, especially the song Helter Skelter, which was the first heavy metal song, apparently. These little photos, all the members. And then on the wall, that's a little poster it came with. And it's the only Beatles album that really comes with a poster, I think. Not sure why that is. Maybe it's just because it's a double album. I don't know why. This is the only Beatles album that really comes with a poster, as far as I know. But this is their third to last record that they did. And interesting cover art. It's just plain white, but then it says the Beatles there. On the back, it's just plain white. Doesn't even have a label. Doesn't even have the. I just noticed it doesn't even have the authorized whatever thing on it. It doesn't have any of that. It's interesting. Not like I've ever had a record that's not a bootleg come with that. Usually, if it doesn't have this, it means it's a bootleg. But obviously, this one isn't. That's interesting. It doesn't have that. But anyway, so that's kind of it. That's what I'll do for today. And I'll go through some more tomorrow. Not sure exactly when we'll finish, but that's all we'll do for now. So that's it. Thank you guys.